This is Fight Night Extra on talkSPORT 2. I'm Adam Catterall, Spencer Oliver alongside me, heading into a sensational fight week for Tyson Fury versus Oleksander Usyk. Yes, it is all about the main event. We're not going to lie. It is all about the main event, the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. But the undercard is serving up a couple of real intriguing questions too. None more so than Jai Opetaia versus Maris Briedis. Spence, listen, the first time that these guys went at it for the IBF and Ring Magazine belts, it was a belter. We had Jai Opetaia winning in the early stages of the fight with Maris Briedis coming on strong down the back end. You have broken jaws, broken noses, broken everything. Briedis hasn't even been in the ring since that fight 2 years ago. He's been campaigning to try and get this one back. Well, he's got it back. I think the IBF have absolutely dropped a clanger by stripping Jai Opetaia in December of that belt. This is now a vacant title. We all know who the champion is. His name's Jai Opetaia. But can Maris Briedis roll back the years in his late 30s now and be champion once again?
Well, listen, fantastic fight. Anyone that hasn't seen that, go back on YouTube, have a look at that first fight. It was a coming-of-age fight for Jai Opetaia, who was going in there with a great reputation, but he was going in against Maris Briedis, the guy that pushed Oleksander Usyk to the wire. This guy, physically was very strong, imposing, very, very big, and it was going to be a tough fight for Opetaia, even though he had home advantage. But he went out there, and you're right in what you say, Catman. Dominated those early rounds. He was like leading up with that, that front hand, driving the crosses through the middle, uppercut in the fourth round, actually broke Briedis' nose, and you thought this could be the beginning of the end here for Briedis. But he sort of shook it off after a couple of rounds, and he started pulling himself back together, started pulling himself back in the fight. I think it was around 10 or 11 when Opetaia broke his jaw, and then the fight had changed dramatically. Briedis put it on him. There was a huge finish, but Opetaia showed a lot of character. He hung in there, and he won the fight, and won it. He won it quite clearly in the end. But it was a fight of two halves. There was drama in the first half. There was drama going the opposite way in the second half. Fantastic fight, to get for a rematch. Since then, though, Opetaia obviously has had those 2 wins against Jordan Thompson and Ellis Zorro. Looked absolutely unbelievable. And what that showed me was, or what that told me was, that when a fighter goes from being a challenger to a champion, it elevates them to another level. Maris Briedis hasn't been in the ring since then, and you just feel now that Jai Opetaia, for me, I think he's going to go in there. He'll look sensational. I believe he gets a stoppage around the midway mark. I think, as good as Maris Briedis is and as tough as he is, that fight at that stage of his career would have taken a hell of a lot out of him. Opetaia, that really moulded him. That made him the fighter that he's actually become now. And all right, he hasn't been in with maybe the caliber of opponent like that since, with Jordan Thompson, who was getting a great opportunity, and Ellis Zorro as well, who were great fighters at their level. So, but what Opetaia showed was, listen, mate, I'm at this level. And he went in there and he demonstrated that he is actually the monster of the division. And right now, going back for this, where they're going over old ground, would we love to see the fight like the first one? Of course we would. Will we get that? No, we won't. Opetaia will go out there, and I think that he'll do a job on Briedis at this time.
Listen, he has been super impressive. But I spoke to the Latvian on the weekend. He joined me on Fight Night on talkSPORT. Maris Briedis, giving his thoughts on how this second one will run in Riyadh. Cool. As you can tell, lots of respect from Maris Briedis towards Jai Opetaia. I personally think it's going to be great. Just listening to the way that Maris was speaking at the weekend, there's a bee in his bonnet. He's got a point to prove. Opetaia's been brilliant, as Spencer said a moment or two ago, in his 2 fights, but that is a level down. Briedis is still the real deal. He's proven that. I think we're in for a real cracking core feature at the weekend to this fantastic main event. As well as that, there's a couple of other names to touch upon. Mark Chamberlain's on this card. The great Sergey Kovalev is out of retirement, rolling back the years. We've got Moses Atuma, who's a hot prospect in the heavyweight division. But I just want to highlight this one other fight, Ajit Kabayel against Frank Sanchez. The reason why I want to highlight it is because everybody keeps speaking to me about Frank Sanchez. He's coming through. He's going to be the next generation. He's going to be the next big thing in the heavyweight division. Well, if we cast our minds back to December 23rd, part of Riyadh's season, where Anthony Joshua and Otto Wallin were doing their thing. In fact, it might even have been the card previous to this. I thought Ajit Kabayel was absolutely sensational in his fight against Makhmudov. I thought he was brilliant. He took him to pieces. It was a fight that was on paper for me a 50-50 contest, and Ajit Kabayel rose to the challenge and really was one of the shining lights of the early Riyadh seasons. This is a brilliant fight. I think it's a 50-50. Kabayel Sanchez, and the winner of this really does propel themselves to have a conversation about maybe getting themselves a top quality fight in 2024, maybe the back end of this, maybe 2025, as everything plays out in the heavyweight division.
Fine. It's like a final eliminator to put yourself in the
Feels
mix for
like
the
that,
big
doesn't
boys,
it?
isn't it?
It feels like that.
Listen, both guys 24-0. You know, both guys done nothing wrong so far. And you're right, on that same card, I think it was Sanchez beat Junior Farr, didn't he? Done Junior Farr in 7 rounds. Looked sensational. And Kabayel, who was going in as a massive underdog against Makhmudov in that fight. Makhmudov was the guy that was talking about the big Russian, the animal that was taking everyone out, knocked everyone out along the way. And Kabayel was the guy that was going to be the good name on his record. The coming of age fight for Makhmudov. That's what the fight was all about. It was about the other guy. And Kabayel pulled off a big upset. Full round, just battered him in 4 rounds and took his soul away. I mean, it was a first class performance, and you had to go, this guy's a serious contender. Great fight, this one, because as you say, Adam, Sanchez has been. Many people have regarded him as the most avoided man in the division. Someone that they haven't wanted to go near. He's got great footwork, for a guy, explosive hands, big right hands over the top, puts the punches together so well. Fascinating fight. Actually, could steal the show. Actually, this one that could be the show stealer. Because I think that when you look at the top of the bill, you go, there's so much on the line, all the marbles and the respect between the two. It could be for the first 6 rounds of Fury and Usyk. Could be a real chess match. It could be one of those that neither guy really could work the other guy out. No one really taking the bait. That's how you see that one. But this one could steal the show because both these guys know what's on the line for the winner, and the loser is going to have to be a tough rebuilding process. Great fight.
Yeah. Listen, everybody who's ever watched any of my stuff knows that I'm super critical sometimes of the way that cards and matchmaking is put together in the world of boxing. Of course, in 2 weeks, we've got a cracker. We're gutted that Beterbiev and Bivol is off that card, because for me, that was the best fight in boxing. But the supporting cast that night, oh my days, you have got some absolute firecrackers. World title fights, big eliminators in the heavyweight division. It's going to be brilliant. The 5v5 is going to have all our eyes completely glued to what's going on in Saudi Arabia. Really good. Yeah. This card from the fan base, when it was originally announced, did come under some criticism. And I'm going to be honest, normally I'm at the front when it comes to matchmaking, criticising, and whether we could be better. I don't think this is that bad. I'm going to be dead honest. And the reason why I don't think it's that bad is, one, the main event is the fight that everybody has been dreaming about. That's what we've all wanted. That's the jewel in the crown. It could just be that for me. I'm not interested in anything else. It could just be that, and I would turn up and I would pay my pay-per-view money and I would watch that contest. I'm a big fan of the Kabayel Sanchez matchup. I'm a huge fan of Jai Opetaia. Maris Bradis, I've been a big fan of his in the past as well. So you're getting at least 3 solid contests. When there's the amount of money that is in that main event, and I know that there's deep pockets in Saudi Arabia, can we afford to keep paying out on massive matchups further down the card? You've got some good prospects here that have got an opportunity to punch their ticket and maybe announce themselves going forward, the likes of the Moses Atumas of this world, who are always super entertaining. Mark Chamberlain's always super entertaining as well. He's in with a good fight with Joshua Olowisu and Wahab too. It's okay, but you're here for the main event. So listen, let's stop mourning. We're here for the main event. The rest of it is going to serve as a nice little hors d'oeuvre, get us all excited. And by the time these 2 big giants walk, mate, you will be on the edge of your seat, full of electricity, ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I totally echo that. I mean, look, the Chiefs supported. Go back, watch the fight,
Yes,
man. Like,
yes.
see what it is. That's a main event anywhere in the
Yeah,
world.
I agree.
That sells out anywhere because people recognise when a great fight styles make fights, and that one is an absolute barnstormer. It was before, and it will be again. This is about opportunity. Joe Cordina, we get him in there again. Cabiel and Sanchez, fantastic. Kovalev, we get to see him going again. Isaac Lowe, Moses Itoma, the guy that is going to be the next heavyweight. They're talking about the next heavyweight champ, the guy that will take over the baton. You've got a little bit of everything there, Catman. And it's like, I think it's a fantastic card right through. But most importantly, we get the undisputed.
I've just done Joe Cordina a disservice there because I've been reading out the whole list of fights that are on. Cordina and Anthony Kakachi is a good fight. Cordina's the boy, don't get me wrong. Kakachi's got an opportunity here. He's one of those guys that if he could have stayed fit, he might be further along. As it stands right now, he's got an opportunity to really punch his ticket against Joe Cordina. I think that will be a great fight. But listen, no disrespect to Anthony Kakachi. Cordina's the boy at the moment, and he's got an uphill task on his hands.
Absolutely. Listen, just talking about that fight, Kakachi does get that opportunity. He lost to Martin J. Ward back in 2017. You thought, well, is this sort of his level? Is this where he's going? Since then, he's had a string of wins, 7 or 8 wins, and he's got himself into this position. 5'10", tall, awkward, hard. It's going to take some working out for Cordina. But like you say, I think Joe Cordina is a supreme talent. He does start a huge favourite, but it is all about opportunity. Kakachi gets that opportunity in another fantastic world title fight. IBF super featherweight title on the line. Another brilliant barnstormer.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.